Welcome to another episode of the Leadership Standard. My name is Buchilo, and we are excited to have you here. For those who are just joining, this is the Leadership Standard. Alrighty, so today we're going to keep talking about corruption and how corruption is affecting the Nigerian people and the African nation, the African continent as a whole, right? But our focus is usually on Nigeria because, supposedly the giant of Africa that doesn't seem to want to get, its things right, all right? Nigeria is supposedly the giant of Africa, but it's not been acting like a giant lately. There's been all types of issues going on with corruption, with nepotism, with fraudulent elections, with election tribunals, with all sort of, police brutality, jungle justice, just some recurring problems that's been going on over and over again. But that's what we talk about here on the Leadership Standard. We try to talk about how the leadership in Africa needs to get better, how the leadership in Africa needs to get more organized, how the leadership in Africa needs to get more active and productive, bringing out positive results rather than just dilly-dallying and eating crumbs. So that is exactly what we do on this platform, the Leadership Standard. So having said that, I want to start sharing my screen that has been going on recently. For some of you know that there's been war happening in South Sudan and in the Sudan region, and Nigerian students have been affected. And, obviously, when Nigerian students are affected, the Nigerian government obviously was lagging behind in solving the problem. Not just that, there's also been some fire happening in businesses, covering the Igbo, the markets in Lagos, which is predominantly run by Igbo people. So there's been all types of things going on with, with lawmakers beating up constituent members or even beating up members of the public, which obviously is a crime, assaulting another person. So, so that's one of the things we'll be talking about today. All right, thank you so much. Let's start with this particular story.
You see, you can imagine how I felt this afternoon. While I was out there in the war front trying to rescue Nigerians, the Nigerian Labour Congress and TUC went disrupting every AP's flight across the country today. We are losing over 700 million naira as a result of that. For somebody who has contributed so much to the nation, all we got paid for on a day like this, so insensitive of the LLC and the TUC, so insensitive of them, they chose today to disrupt our operations. Why? For something that does not even concern APs, that Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State disrupted their Mayday activities. Therefore, no flight should go to Imo. And APs, they wrote us yesterday that we should not go to Imo. We have a contract with the passengers. Not NLC or TUC has no right whatsoever to instruct an airline not to obey the contractual relationship or obligations they have to their passengers. They don't have that right. It is a shame to this nation that the security agencies we are watching while an airline that is out there doing all it can for the nation was being barged upon with some people wounded, making sure our operations were destabilized, posting delays, massive delays and massive cancellations. Who is going to bear the brunt? And while the security agencies sat and watched, yet this same airline is out there in Egypt risking the lives of their crew and expending hundreds of millions of naira on behalf of this country. They chose such a day. Something.
So you can see what this man is saying. Simply that the Nigerian Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress obviously disrupting their economic plans to evacuate Nigerians from Sudan. But again, the reason why is because, if you look at it, it still boils down to corruption. They were doing all of that to affect this man's business, affect the evacuation, because of the Imo State governor who, disrupted their plans for whatever it is they had to do with, protesting and campaigning for, for better pay for laborers and people who are the employees of the state. However, the reason why this is going on is because at the end of the day, corruption is affecting everybody, right? So when it affects the Nigerian Labor Congress or the Trade Union Congress, it ultimately affects this man's businesses, ultimately affects the poor Nigerians. But at the end of the day, when you think about it, is the the political class has they're not suffering the same issues that the masses suffer. And that's where the problem is, because even when the political leadership is failing, it affects the business leadership, it affects economic leadership. All right. So that's the reason why I am making this point. And that's why I'm exposing this video. Let's keep watching.
Should happen, because we're not going to let this go down. We must recover all we lost today. We must recover it. If something is not done, then this country is a joke. For what happened today, the airport vicinity is supposed to be sacrosanct. It's supposed to be a sacred place all over the world. You do not even shout in airports all over the world, they pick you up. Not to talk of a situation where people go into the tarmac, go into the apron to destabilize an airline. What if somebody throws a spanner into one of those engines? That is an air crash waiting.
You see? So you can see what he's talking about. People going into the tarmac. Can you imagine? People were stepping into the tarmac where the plane flies out and disrupting activities. So that can tell you exactly how this Nigerian government is operating. They're operating from a system of just letting anything go. People just come in and act anyhow, irresponsibly, and they just get away with it. But hopefully, very soon, there could be a stop to all of this. So I want to start again. I want to share this particular video again of destruction that's going on in the market.
Jesus, life in Alaba. Life in Alaba.
Why are they here? Why are they here?
So as you can see, there is a fire accident happening. There is a fire accident happening, and pretty much it's quite sad. But that's just the situation of things right now in Nigeria, where people wake up in the morning and the next thing they see is a fire incident. There is fire up and down the whole place. There's fire in the markets. There's fire in shops. There's fire in businesses, and places are just burning down, and nobody has an idea how it started, where it came from, and there is no protection for businesses. How many of those businesses have protective equipment, fire extinguishers that can literally curtail such fires? And this is the responsibility of the government. Let nobody deceive you. This is the responsibility of the government. The Nigerian government must ensure that there is constant protection of lives and properties, and that such fire incidents don't just happen sporadically from nowhere. How can people be going in their business and the next thing they see is a fire incident, just burning down their shops, burning down their livelihoods, starting all over again from ground zero? This is the problem that is facing Nigerians, businesses, especially in people who have these small shops and in the markets. There needs to be better welfare for these people. There needs to be better protection for their businesses. There needs to be better, approaches to ensuring that these such fires do not happen. Because we know that some of these fires are induced by individuals who are against the economic progress of some certain people, of the Igbo people. We know that, and it has been shown time and time again. It's been proven that some people are out there ensuring that there is an economic sabotage of the Igbo people that are living in Lagos and living in some of this, outside, the Igbo region. And this is the reason why there needs to be better protection for these people. If not, there will be more recurring stories like this. So we wish these people best of luck, and we hope that the Nigerian government can protect and provide for better services for these people.
Of
speaking to something that has been on my mind for some time, but I believe it is very important for the location of this discussion today. And I picked Nigeria, its democracy, and the subjectification of truth. Nigeria does not, I'm known for my definitions. I'm not defining. If I'm going to talk to a subject, I want to define it first. And there are three key components to what I have chosen. Nigeria is democracy, and then the subjectification of truth. Nigeria does not require any definition anymore. It's a blessed land, ruined by horrible ruiners who pretend to be rulers. It would be bad enough if what we have in Nigeria are rulers. That would be bad enough. Rulers exist in time. They focus on preservation of power, and they are rarely burdened or bridled by vision. They are content with surviving in power. That is what rulers do. Leaders, on the other hand, are bridled by vision. So they see beyond their lifetime, and they are constrained by their vision in the choices that they would make. Unfortunately for my country, as blessed as it is, it has been cursed by ruiners, never been blessed with leadership. That is Nigeria properly defined.
You see? Perfectly
It's
definition.
democracy.
Nigeria has never been blessed with leadership. Never been blessed with leadership. This man has said it, hit it on the head. Nigeria has not even been blessed with rulers. As far as he's concerned, Nigeria has only been blessed with ruiners. People who just go out there and ruin. They just go out there and ruin things. They ensure that there is a destruction of life and property. They ensure that there is a destruction of welfare of people. They ensure there's a destruction of livelihoods. And all they do is celebrate mediocrity, celebrate failure, celebrate nonsense. That's all they do. They don't celebrate greatness. They don't celebrate it. The Nigerians are celebrated for their greatness most times outside of Nigeria. But the leadership of Nigeria has ensured that they destroy Nigeria totally. And that's what this man is saying. Let's keep watching.
And that will lead me to the third part of what I want to talk about, the subjectification of truth. How do you subjectify truth? That is when you take a common precept, something that has universal application and meaning, and you bring it into a space, and it begins to have a different meaning because of the space of its application. That is the situation with Nigerian democracy, because you actually have to Nigerianize what we have before you might call it a democracy. Democracies are impossible to have in environments where the law does not rule. Citizenship is impossible to uphold in environments devoid of the rule of law. Nigeria is one such environment. In the absence of the rule of law, Nigeria is ruled by impunity. And that is why you would have situations where INEC would publish guidelines flowing from the Constitution, and it will proceed to do the exact opposite of what it had promised to do. But that is for the Nigerian audience. Because of the context of location, we must now talk to the subjectification of truth. Atlanta was my point of entry into the US on this particular trip. And as I was being driven to where I would be staying, I drove past a place and it was pointed out to me that that was MC Mushroom Pickens' house in Riverdale, Atlanta.
Oh wow!
A man could stand in broad daylight,
Very close to my house.
cameras on him, and he could tell the world, Yachukwudi must not vote. He spoke as the state. The Nigerian state is criminal. MC Mushroom Pickens is not a government official, but there was a policeman stood not too far away from him when he made his edit. And that edict stood. And we saw it in its full ramification on the 18th of March. But how does this relate to the context of our location, the location of this discourse? Our American friends will tell us we have a democracy, and that is why Nigeria must be protected and everything must be kept quiet. We must have peace. They speak peace to us, but they never talk to us about justice. Those who rule in Nigeria bring their wealth to this land, and you give them succor. They carry your green cards, they carry your passports, they buy your citizenship, they buy homes in this place. You convict them here, you release them to Nigeria. If they were drug dealers, members of the Mahane drug cartel, you'd be busy talking about all kinds of sanctions on them. You wouldn't allow them in your country. Yeah. But you have them living here. Their children are here. They ruin my country. I can't live in yours. I visit. And when I stay longer than 3 weeks, I'm already having withdrawal symptoms. All I want to do is go back to mine. But you make my country impossible to live in because of your subjectification of the truth. You sit down on a day-to-day basis and you preach down at us and you tell us about just how much democracy works for Africa. But you do everything to undermine our democracy because you give succor to criminals in your cities. I can't open a bank account in America because I'm a Nigerian, but the crooks ruining my country put their monies in your accounts. Mm-hmm. I can't open an account. The only crime is I'm a Nigerian.
The only crime is that he's a Nigerian. That's the only crime. He cannot open a bank account in the country of America. You understand? But other criminals can open bank accounts in America. That is exactly what he's talking about. You have to understand that the American government itself, is in many ways complicit in what's going on in Nigeria. Many ways complicit in what's going on in Nigeria because they can ultimately put a stop to this if they start prosecuting the criminals that are leading Nigeria and not giving them the confidence that they can do evil and still go ahead and live peacefully in America. Just the same way they are currently, taking measures to, they've actually convicted Ike Ekweremadu, the former Senate president in the UK. That's exactly what needs to be done. We need to see more criminals in Nigerian politics go to jail. That's the only thing that's going to send a message to other people. There's no message that is being sent currently to the criminals in Nigeria. And that's why they continue doing what they are doing. If there's a message that is being sent, they won't do what they are doing.
Drug indicted criminal is about to become the president of my country, and you, Americans, are the ones normalizing the insanity. When I speak to the subjectification of truth,
exactly. So they are the ones normalizing it. They are the ones normalizing the problem.
It sounds sometimes like
they are the ones normalizing the problem. We're going to continue tomorrow. We will continue tomorrow. I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to appreciate you for being a part of us today. Due to our time, we will continue tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Please follow us, like us, subscribe on our channel, on our platform. Thank you and have a great day.